There we go. So, more. Okay. Hey, everybody. Sorry about the delay, but we are live here with Doc Williams of Brand Factory Inc. He also has a YouTube channel, Doc Williams. It's a great channel, by the way. Check it out when you get time. But we are here to talk to Doc about generative AI, AI agents, SaaS, software with a service also. So, Doc, please do a better job of introducing yourself than I just did.
No, well, thank you so much, Erica, for having me. So, my name is Doc Williams. I am a business solution architect, whatever you want to call it. The basic thing is I teach you how to save time and make more money using tools. And so, right now, with the advancement of AI. We're always talking about on the horizon all these new tools. So today we're going to be talking about generative AI. What does that even mean? How can you get started with this and how you can go from idea to crafting your next big product, create your own micro SaaS, micro app, whatever it is. We're teaching you how to do that. And it's not too late. It's time to start because it's 2025. Oh, you're muted, Erica.
Sorry, I just want to say that's so much better than how I introduced you. You know, when I first heard of generative AI, I thought it was something different than what you've already told me about AI. So, like, whew, I'm glad you're here.
No problem. And there's a lot of terms going out there. So we'll talk about that. Also, too, I guess I'll announce it on LinkedIn next week. But now I'm also the program manager of something called low code engineers. So if people are they know what they want to create, they just don't have the time or know how to use Airtable, Xano, all of these backends and front ends from no code. It's a marketplace that's vetted. I'm the program manager there. So if you're interested in all that, there'll be a link down below for you to have a discussion with me, and we'll find the best engineer for you on an hourly basis.
Nice. Thank you. Yes, definitely interested.
Awesome. Yeah. So if you want, do you want me to get started with generative AI is and kind of go through how to use it and things like that?
Yes, please.
Okay, okay. So there are a lot of different terms that are out there right now in Web3, and Web3 is a term, right? So Web3 is just the third iteration of web services, right? So Web2 was more mobile apps and all those things. It was optimized to be on your phone or in a mobile position for you to take advantage of the web. Web3 is just the next advancement of that. So what does that entail? Well, you have three main areas. You have blockchain, which would have like cryptocurrency and all of those different things, NFTs and DeFi and DAOs. But then there's another two portions, which would be machine learning and artificial intelligence. Now, as we've seen the last couple of years, depending on what's going on in the news, there's a rotation. Crypto is really hot in blockchain, and now AI has jumped off the page since ChatGPT really took over in the last 2 years. So people wonder, okay, so what is going on in AI? What are examples there? Well, there's different things such as artificial general intelligence, AGI, that's on the horizon. They're predicting when that's going to happen. It's not here right now. There are different things called like AI agents, and then there are other splitting different terms such as generative AI. So let's break down what generative AI means. Generative AI just means that you're generating something using artificial intelligence. So what are some examples of generative AI? Well, I bet you have all already used generative AI. What do I mean by that? Well, there is text generation. Well, what is text generation? Well, if you use ChatGPT, Jasper, Notion AI, anything like that, you're having a conversation with an AI to do a task that is text generation, right? So if you've used ChatGPT, if you've followed Erica, guess what? You have used some kind of text generation. The next one would be image. Image could be something like Dolly, Midjourney, Stable Diffusion, and the list goes on, whatever you prefer. But you're generating an image. A third would be video generation. If you're using, and we'll go through a couple examples and actually look at some of the tech and everything, but you're generating video from this. So some people are creating short films, those kind of things. Excuse me. And then there's two more. There's audio and video, and then there's code generation, right? So those are the different ones that you can do. There's tons of other ones, art and design. There's AI agents where you're using IDEs, so you're just basically development environments. So if you're using uh, agents like Replit agents, Lovable, Data Button, the list goes on, you can be doing that. So that's a pretty exhaustive list, and that might feel a little bit overwhelming. So what's the bottom line? The bottom line is generative AI is the act of generating something from AI, whatever that might be. Okay, so as we go through this, instead of feeling overwhelmed or it's like, oh, I've got to download or sign up for all of these different programs, think about this very simply. What are you trying to do in your life that you want to save time or make money? What do you want to do in your life where you feel overwhelmed and you want to offload something onto an assistant? That's what generative AI can help you do. So as you're going through this, we're going to go through some examples in the Q&A that we're going to have later that's only on Zoom. What I want you to do, everyone, the participants, write down what are you struggling with, what do you want to accomplish, and why? And then we can start looking at examples of different generative AI for your business or your life or any of those things. Erica, how am I doing?
So far, so good. I like the list of audio, video, and text.
Okay, so now I'm going to share my screen for a moment. One moment here. And while I was preparing for this, right, the simple thing is, right, you're like, how did he know all those things? Well, guess what? I just said, give me examples of generative AI, right? And it gave me an outline, and then I talked about it. So this is an example. They're like, oh, we're using it in so many different ways, right? But a lot of times when people are using ChatGPT, they're making it more complicated than it needs to be. When you're using chat, it's about how to utilize it. First of all, I always say just experiment it, whatever you want to do. But also, number two, getting better at prompts, and we'll look at other things in a little bit, like how you're using projects and different folders and how you're asking it to create prompts. You can be more effective in what you're doing when you're using generative AI. And really, not only understanding or taking the first step in deciding what's great for you, but then understanding how to prompt correctly is going to be a game changer for you. And we'll look at examples from there as well. To get started, remember, I'm going to say this a couple times, but we already have an AI Agents for Beginners that walk you through how to use it, how to do the methodology, and then how you can create AI agents using Make, Zapier, or whatever. We have that. And then I want to say this too, because this isn't just a shameless promotion. It kind of is. But this one, it really is important where it's no code trends and AI trends for 2024. I see so many people that are like, well, I want to go in this direction to make money with this. We've done this report for 3 years, and we added AI last year, and we did it for this year as well. There are very interesting insights, what industries are making the most money, how they're utilizing no-code and AI. And so the reason I just say this is plan out and use this with purpose. It is very easy to go down the rabbit hole of AI and to get overwhelmed and then just not being purposeful for what you're doing. So we'll drop that. Erica will make sure that you have all of these links and be able to download. These two are free, and we'll go from there. So let's just jump right into it. We're going to go through a couple examples and talk about how we can do this a little bit better. And I think this might be helpful. So I think I have this, Erica, I think I'm good until the 30 or something like that to go through this.
Yes, that's right.
Okay. Yeah. So we'll take oh, what were you going to say, Erica? I didn't want to cut you off that last part.
No worries. I was going to say you have till about 10:45 if you want it.
Okay, cool. So what we're going to do is we're going to break down these different examples, what I use, how we use them, and all of those things, and then go from there. So we'll use ChatGPT here. With ChatGPT, the biggest thing that you're going to be looking at is um, there's this is almost like an open canvas, like Google, right? So you've got to think about before you even start here. You might be thinking about. I want to create I want to plan, how am I going to get my first client? And I might say I'm a graphic designer or something like that, right? So I'm going to be using Whisper, just letting you know, because I'm severely dyslexic. So shout out to Dan Perry that showed me this. So I'm just going to talk to it and then put in some stuff. I am a graphic designer. I am trying to get more clients in the United States, and I feel overwhelmed. How can I first get started and find my first client online? Okay, so I'm using another AI tool. I'm using Whisper that's using voice to do this, and I'm using this. Create for me a prompt to find a way to find my first client and to promote myself online. Okay, so what did I do right here? So I did my first thing where I first was asking a question, but instead of just going about and putting in my question, I'm asking the AI to create the best prompt to ask the question better for it. So I'm basically getting better with my prompt. So, and what is a prompt? A prompt is just what you're telling the system. What am I telling chat? Right? So it's memorating, it's updating the memory. And you notice right here, it says, here's a prompt to help you get started to finding your first client and promoting yourself. Now, did you notice prompt for finding your first graphic design client? Define your niche, build your own online presence, outreach and networking, right? So it's helping me here. And it says you would like to create more detailed plan. So what I'm going to do is I can just take this, right? I'm going to put it back here. And of course, I'm just going to say use this prompt to help me find my first graphic design client. And what I'm doing, a lot of people have basically different ways. Sometimes some people might just say, great, go do that. For me, I'm going to say my niche of graphic design, it's going to be logo design for startups, right? Identify a specific area. Yeah, so I already said logo design, right? So I'm going to do this. And I'm going to say logo design for startups. I'm going to say excel at. I'm going to say mockups and logos. Build your online presence, create a clean, professional. I don't have, now these are what I could be doing, right? And so it's telling me how I can get in front of the competition. Great. I'm going to cut out the online presence thing. And all I'm going to put in is outreach and networking. I like using Reddit and LinkedIn. Right? So what am I doing? I'm kind of using what it's already telling me to do, but now I'm being more specific before I ask it the same question again. Let me know in the chat if that makes sense. Right? So again, if we're thinking about this box that you're interacting with it, it's the same. If you hear prompt engineering, that just means how do you ask better questions or how do you give better commands to the AI? So I am asking it what format does it like. Now with that format, I'm reformatting the same question again. So now that I have it, and of course, I'd be more detailed. I'd go through everything that they have. But say, for instance, I still made it more specific than it knew about me before. I'm going to send it again, right? So if you look at this, I'm saying use this prompt. And now right here, it's giving me more specifics of what I need to do. Right? And now it's changing the subreddits based on what I'm doing. It's changing what I'm doing in LinkedIn, where I should be going. So again, it's being more specific on what I need. Now, this could be one conversation, which is great, but you can also create projects. I'm on the pro plan, so I'm not sure if I think projects you can do on the free plan for ChatGPT too. But basically, once you have a project, all the same kind of conversations you can have together. Let's look at an example. I have YouTube creation. I have multiple conversations, so I run it and it has multiple threads. So I can now ask it one thing in a chat and it can pull all of these different references. So right here, I have YouTube Story Builder, how I do curiosity, fear, or desire title format. I have another title formula, video planning summary, storyline, teleprompter format, video title suggestions. So now, when I'm ready to create a video in YouTube, I've created my own bundle of conversations that I've had with ChatGPT to be more effective than me to just create a one-time conversation. Or I'm like, where was that conversation I had like 5 days ago? Where is that? No, you bundle it with different projects and now you can have something. For example, another one, how to avoid scope creep with customers, right? So now I have a set of different things I'm working on, emails, concepts, different slide decks to do that, right? So that's the power of when you're using different text, generative text like this. Now, that is one way. And then if I want to add another flavor, I have something called Chatbase where you can create custom chat GPTs for your business. So this is what I do for myself and for my clients. And if you look at this real quick, right, I've got Doc's help desk right here. So if people want to have access to me, maybe they can't, they're not in the position to buy a package with me in real time, they can buy my AI assistant, which will run through all my best practices, and I charge them $14 a year for that. Also, I was just working on, YouTube title generator. A lot of people liked what I did in ChatGPT. So now I can sell this as another chatbot. The other thing is too, how a freelancer gets their first customer or first client. I get a lot of questions on that. So this is going to be offered as a lead magnet for people to go through best practices to get their first client. So we went to generative text that was a common tool, and then we used one of the best in the business. I'll leave my affiliate link down below. Chatbase is one of those things that I use for myself and for my clients. You can see also too, I did this with my clients for Airbnb properties, right? So if one of my clients they needed to have a VA trained on what the best practices they wanted on their Airbnb properties, or also a widget for their new customers, what to expect when they enter the property. Now we created their own chatbot for that, and it leverages OpenAI. Okay, so we have that right there as the first thing. The next one example is da-da-da-da. Let's talk about we'll talk about image generation in a little bit. There's so many things out there. And in the chat, let me know if there's something that you want me to touch upon, and I will. Let's talk about one of the things I really like. We'll talk about Replit and Lovable. So this is a big thing on the internet right now, or on um, just in general for coding. So this is where it's like an IDE. So basically, that's a developmental environment. But here you can create a bunch of different applications super fast. And so this comes back into leveraging multiple things at once. And what I mean by that is we can use chat, we can do generative text, and then it will help us to get better with this. So, Erica, can you give me an example of a micro app that you had an idea from, but you've never built before? Can you give me an example? It can be something simple. It can be a calculator. It can be anything you want.
Um, you know how AppSumo sends out an email saying that new, but they're not the only one. I was thinking maybe I could use a scraper to bring out that new for all the app deals.
So you want to scrape multiple websites?
Yes,
Okay. And then tell me more. And then you wanted to put it basically send out an email and everything like that?
yes, like the new stuff that's out,
Mm.
new deals
Okay.
or whatever.
Okay, now you're making my life hard, right? I said a micro app, and then she does this to me. Okay, I'm gonna go into an example of this. That's going to be in multiple parts. So yes, you can create a web scraper using something like that. But let me bring this up real quick. What you're describing is something we could probably do a lot easier with a AI web scraper. So give me 1 second. Let me bring this up. I'm on my other screen. I'm going to be showing you in 1 second. 1 second. Where is, excuse me.
Doc, may I ask, is
Yeah,
AI
sure.
web scraper better than Hexomatic, in your personal opinion?
That's a great question. It really depends, right? So that's a great point. I love that too.
Today I want to show you
But
best practice of
I'm bringing it up, and I'm always showing sources and everything. I don't want to say like, oh, how did this guy come up with it? Because I Google and do a lot of things. So um, let's look at this. So the answer is you could do it, but that is going to be pro. Do you want an agent to do it where it's going to be able to have more of, how can I say this?
version of
Let me
different
put it that way. Do you want to have an agent be able to do more complex kind of scraping, or do you want something that is very programmable that you're going to do something similar to like Make or Zapier, where you've got to tell it, go here to pull this, and if there's anything outside of that realm, it will not be able to scrape. So it really depends because when you're using something like AI agents or using powerful things like this, it's going to be able to do more when you're using these LLMs, and that's a large language model, versus if you're just going to use something like Hexomatic as that I know of it right now. It could have changed since the last time I looked at it, but if it's the same format, you're basically telling it to do a very specific things, and anything that requires a login or is has a paywall, it probably won't be able to scrape. So if you need to log in, need to do something with a yeah, login, I'm not sure if it can do that. Do you know, could you give me more details, or do you know if it can do that?
So at first, when you said simple, I was just thinking about the new stuff that came out and you get an email. But after you said using AI agent, I was thinking maybe you could use it to be more specific to finding the AI that's geared towards your business.
Correct. I like that. So if you're using agent QL, you could definitely do it. You can definitely do that. You can even like say for instance, and I might do this as a upcoming micro app. Say for instance, you were looking for multiple jobs on Upwork and a bunch of different sites. You could make a query that I only want to see graphic design jobs, and I want it to run once a day and send me an email with all of the updated jobs found on Upwork. So that way you don't have to keep searching. You can see a curated list. I think that would be a great idea just to have it as a newsletter where people could subscribe to a very specific one like that and go from there. So the simple answer is yes. You would probably have to use Fire, Crawl, or Agent. It takes a little bit. You need to know a little bit of either Python or something, or ask, and we can go into another one. You could bring it into Replit and ask, I have this script. How do I scrape, or how do I create a scraper with that? We could do something like that. If we've got the time, we might go into that. But yeah, that's a way to do it. Does that make sense?
I think so. So now I'm thinking like how you go into LinkedIn and you type in what you do and it brings up the job list or the post, stuff like that. So now you can
Yeah.
have this be personalized for that.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm
Exactly.
following you.
Yeah, exactly. So if you're thinking about that, then you can be more effective and or more curated on what you're trying to do.
Mhm.
But again, it comes hold on 1 second. It really depends on your goals, right? It really depends on the goal. So that's why I was saying at the beginning, can we please have a breakdown of exactly what you need for your business. What does it look like for you? That then allows you to find the right tool or what you're trying to do a lot more effectively, right? Um, so we have that. I want to show, can I do a rapid fire of different tools that I like using and then kind of we'll go from there? Or if there's more questions, I'll put it this way for this next one. Oh, I'm seeing chat. Hold on one second. Um, is there have you done a pickaxe versus chat base before? No. I think that's a great example. Hold on one second. Because I do like pickaxe. Okay, so what are the benefits if you're using like chat base and pickaxe? Pickaxe is going to have all the tools for you to create a business around using your chatbot versus Chatbase is more flexible and it's not necessarily meant to create or give access where they're taking payments for your chatbot. You can integrate it, you can put it in a lot of different areas for your business. And so you're not going to be able, it's not built out of the box exactly like Pickaxe, where it's meant for coaching or consulting or wellness and whatever you want, then you can start charging for your chat bot. So if you're looking at this one, and I think it's called either Crisp or Chirp, it starts with a C. It's UK based. That is going to be the main like difference right there. But yeah, that's a great example of looking at the two. Hold on one second. Chirp AI. I'll find it in a second. I always forget. I see what the logo looks like, but I have trouble finding it. So that is that right there. Okay, I'm going to give you an example, right? Let's just put it in right here. I'm trying to create a web scraper for different deals on deal sites and be able to consolidate all of my deals. All right, so I have that. Now let me zoom in for a second. Now you see when I have that, it says improve prompt. Now, kind of like what I just did in ChatGPT, right? I wanted the prompt to be better. I can say improve prompt. And right here, it's saying, okay, yeah, let's do this a little bit better. A web deal aggregator that scrapes and consolidates deals from various deal sites. The application should have. And you see how that's a little bit better than what I just said. Not only that, it gave me ideas of what it should look like and the style and things like that. So I can say, okay, I like this, I don't like this. But once I'm ready, I can say start building. And it's going to now start thinking it's going to have an AI agent right there. And it's going to be thinking about how it's going to structure my web application. What I also like about this too is usage for chat. It's telling me it's probably one of the most transparent platforms that tells me exactly how much it's going to charge when I'm building this, more than being more obscure. So it says, I'll help you create a deal aggregator website with React and Express. So it's telling me the code or what kind of code it's using. We'll implement a web scraping functionality to collect deals from various sources and present them in a modern card-based interface with search and filtering. Okay, I like that. Now it's saying, what would I like? So it's saying build the initial, but do I want to add user accounts and deal favorites, implement deal alerts in systems, add price history tracking, add rating voting system? Okay, I might just do rating voting system and I might do deal alerts, something like that. I already know if I'm going to do users or something, I'm going to have to add a backend and more complicated one. I just don't want to do it right now. So it's going to do the initial build. It's going to think about its life. Hold on one second. Okay. And as you can see right here, it's telling me we created a database for you. Manage it here. It's doing all the coding for me right here. So it's building out and it's telling me it created the database. It's telling me how it's doing this in what language. And yeah, we're going through the process. So if you were copying something from a template before, this just speeds up so much. right here. Speeds up so much. And later on, I'm using the agent, but I can go to the assistant to ask questions about the code. So as you're going through this, you can actually learn a lot of the principles. And guess what? They also have like 100 days of Python with Replit. You can also do things like that as well. So now it's starting up the server and it's running it. And because it's cloud-based, you can do this wherever you're going, right? Now it says right here, look at this. Checkpoint. I don't know why that's free. No significant changes. Okay, I'll take it. I thought they were going to charge me 25 cents on that. Okay, so now it's telling me the 3 packages that it's installing in the environment to run it, everything like that here. And then it says, I've noticed there's an error in the schema definition that's preventing the application. Let me fix that first before we proceed. So again, what an AI agent is, it's doing tasks without me needing to prompt it. So I didn't need to tell it that there's an error or go fix this. It's self-patrolling itself and making the fixes for it, which is just amazing to me. And so it's doing all of these things. Okay. Erica, it's up to you. I see that someone's raising their hand. Do you want me to take questions now or wait for Q&A when we jump off in Zoom? Let me know.
Question and answers will happen after you finish your session. So please remember your question and hold on.
Good times. So we'll go through this in a second. Now, if we were talking about it, if I wanted to make this a bigger project, I could have used ChatGPT to build out what I wanted a little bit more. But as you can see, it's building, it's going through what it needs to do. And again, some people just take a cup of coffee or they take a break as it's building right here. But as it's going through every step, again, let me go on the left-hand side to show you. Okay, so I can look at the progress here. I can look at the console. So if I want to see what's going on, I can do web view. So the preview, I can look at it and I can deploy from here as well. So I could just host it and deploy it from Replit if I wanted to. Excuse me. Database. And then we also have all tools right here, right? So we can decide on all the things we're going to do. So this one, they're adding a couple different things. We're seeing that it's resuming and still working. Let me give one more example here as it's working in the background. There's another one that we've done as well. It's bolt.new, where you can basically build out different platforms as well. Let's see, online side hustle database implemented. I'm going to spin up one that we had. So you're seeing how right now it's not running when I'm not using it. So let's see if it can preview my online side hustle database. And you see right here, this was an idea I had. I wanted to have different categories to think about different online side hustles. I can look at how to get started, resources, all those things. And then this was just built with prompts, and you can see all of that. So all of these different ones are a little bit different. And as you can see, changes applied, pulling schema. So now it's telling me as I'm going in real time what it's doing and how it's fixing all of those things too. So in the Q&A, I can kind of show what it looks like at the end now as it's doing it. And some people are like, well, man, it's taken 3 minutes. Yeah, well, it's building the full structure of a database. So depending on what you're structuring and how complicated your app, it's going to depend on how fast it can build as well and how much detail. The more detail you give it, the faster it can work as well. So if I'm creating this, I want to create an online database where it's tracking different side hustles. Create for me a prompt to create that MVP. All right, so we have this. It's giving me the prompt. Right, it's telling me what I want. User-friendly interface. Okay, all that stuff. Great. what's going on with it over here. Still thinking. Okay. Now, would you like help designing the database? No. Please create a PRD for me. All right, so it's creating the product requirement document. So now it's creating a more scope version of what I can give the chat. Okay, still resuming. Good. Erica always making it do complicated things. Okay, so say for instance I have this, it's telling me the MVP, the storyline, the timeline, landing pages. Okay, so I'm gonna stop here, right? So I'm gonna copy this. Okay, I'm gonna put it in, what was I using? Bolt. I'm creating a online curated database. I'm calling it a name here. I'm telling it the purpose and scope. I'm going to tell it to run. And the more detail, now it's going to cost me less credits. And this is important, especially when you're generating and things like this. Different platforms charge you different amounts based on what's happening here. Right now, we're seeing that it's doing something with, looks like with SQL. Yep. So it's going into the library, installing these things. Just going to refresh and see what's going on with my deal hunter. No, it's still. Let's wake it up. Resume this. Okay, so right here it's building out. You need Superbase. If you need Superbase, discard. Now, right here, as you're going through these, a lot of people, and I did this on purpose, a lot of people get fearful of like, oh my goodness, something failed. Well, the great thing is I can screenshot why it failed. I just say, refer to screenshot for error. And then I'm attaching the error. And then it thinks about its life, and then it goes from there, right? So see, I notice, create the browse or import it, see? And so now it's finding its own errors. I created a struct, and boom. And then it just did that, right? So a lot of times people might be like, I knew it, it's not perfect. Well, no, it's not perfect. It's not perfect at all. But when you're going through this, you can go through these different aspects to make sure that you're viewing yourself more as a project manager. A project manager, and so you're seeing what the agents are doing and then explaining to it to how to iterate and get better from its errors. And so when you're doing any kind of generative AI, it's about understanding what questions you asked it, what did you prompt, and how to get better. No matter if you're doing text, animation, video, it doesn't matter. It's the same methodology over and over again. Kind of went a little bit into the weeds right there at the end, but I think at the first we were talking about it. If you're just joining, it's really important if you're thinking about what are you trying to solve? Are you trying to make your life easier? Are you trying to automate things? Are you trying to make more money? Are you looking for an assistant for something very specific? Write down what you're looking to do. Don't look at all of these tools because it could feel weighed down and bogged down of what you should do and all those things. Go there first and then be able to start using these tools. I'll give you a quick example. One of my friends and business partners, he is a videographer and he works with a lot of local businesses. One service that he wanted to add, he was doing all of these videos, but he's like, what if I had a custom song for all the businesses I work for? And I could sell them custom songs with my packages or I do the videos. He now uses a lot of AI generative music It's a quick song. And by the way, he's a songwriter. So he would do a prompt of this is what the song would be about, create the song. And then now they think that's the best thing in the world. He can double his rates right there just by having something like just that basic. So look for different ways that you can do it. You can do it for fun. You can do it for your business. But don't let all of these fancy words scare you. Generative AI is just how can you use AI to better your life. And so if you're interested in more, I also do consulting. There'll be a link down below Erica will give you to contact me, or just follow me on my YouTube. It's free. And we do this every single week with these different tools.
All right. Thank you, Doc. I appreciate you being here and sharing your time, energy, and knowledge with us. I feel like that was very useful. So,
Thank you.
one more thing. Would you tell us the two downloads you were offering?
Yeah, I can do it. I'll share my screen and then I'll go from there. So the two different ones that we have is download the 2024 No Code and AI report. It's sponsored by Low Code Engineers. This breaks down how people are making money, the top platforms they're using in no code and AI. And so grab that. This is our third edition. The third year we're doing it in a row. And then also we have AI agents for beginners. It teaches you the concepts of what you need to do to create an AI agent, no matter what platform you're using. And you can get both of those things for free because you're following Erica and her wonderful program.
All right, appreciate that, Doc. So if you want to hang out with Doc, uh, follow his YouTube channel, Doc Williams, and you can also find him on Twitter, and I think that's also at Doc Williams.
That's going to be underscore Doc Williams. I couldn't get the full
Underscore.
thing, but underscore Doc Williams. That's where I'm most active. I'll answer every single question in YouTube, but if you want me quicker, just hit me up on Twitter. I'll be right there.
All right. So if you want to meet more cool people, more brilliant people like Doc Williams, join the Virtual Summiteers peer group because we have brilliant people come and speak with us every first Friday of each month. So other than that, we are going to let the live stream go and we're going to do some question and answers.
Bye, everyone.
So the live stream has stopped. We are still recording. And if you have questions for Doc, please feel free.
Doc, how you doing, bro?
I'm doing good. Nice to meet you.
Yeah, we met before this, Jason.
Oh, hey, Jason.
Yeah, loved what I heard. So the question that I have is, well, for one, it's probably a multi-part question. When you are chiseling away at the AI, and then like you're developing like a scraper and whatnot, um, are you able to have the AI go in and like I think you kind of answered the question with what you just showed, how the AI checked itself. Um, yeah, how do you determine though, like if you don't know if it's going to return the right thing or not, how do you know if the AI has gone rogue or not?
It's a great question. So it kind of depends on what platform you're using
Hmm.
and what's going on. For example, if you're looking at a code base, if you're using something like Windsurf or if you're using Cursor, it's already going to be in the environment, coding environment. You're just copying and pasting. If you're in error, you're saying like, how did you fix this? And then you can say, show me your work, or you're just
Hmm.
asking where it is. So you can always make sure that's happening. If you're having something that's a little bit more like ChatGPT, it's so wide, it's a breadth of just so much around the world, you might see more hallucinations there, but it
Hmm.
really depends on what you're trying to do, right? So ChatGPT really isn't good at coding. Claude Sonnet is. So a lot of people are like, I'm getting a lot of errors in ChatGPT. It's getting better at math and coding, but it's not the best. So it's going to hallucinate a lot more. So I would say use the right kind of platform that is for that kind of job. The second thing is kind of like what I showed at the end, and I cannot take credit. Dan showed me this, but basically either take a screenshot or you're identifying. You can say, no, that is not correct. I'm looking at this. tell me how to fix it, or I do not see this as this is not correct, and I'll tell
Hmm.
you why. So it's similar to, I almost view it as a teacher and a student, that, or a manager and an employee. You're looking over the work and you're having the conversation or pointing out what's happening, because it's very good at computational and different things that it's understanding in a straight line. But if there's
Hmm.
deviations or things that it's not working on, that's where you're getting into a lot of these nuances why you're having trouble. So is there an example that you're trying to do or think about that you're worried about there might be imperfections or errors that you're trying to work on?
Well, I work inside of a few different environments, like a foray, and I'll upload stuff.
You said a
It,
foray?
yeah,
I don't know what that is. Could you talk
it
about that?
it's it was on AppSumo a while back, and
Okay.
it is a platform where you can put your stuff in. Like I upload a lot of my stuff to it so that it can then go through and dissect it and then pull out what I need.
Hmm.
What I've noticed though is that at times, depending on the size of the thing that I put in there, it may not deliver the right results. And if it wasn't for the fact that I knew what the results should be, then I wouldn't know that it didn't deliver the right results. It's
Okay.
like I was having it review a contract for me, and
Ah,
it was
okay. Yeah,
client
yeah.
contract and all. So I went through and I plugged in my contract.
Hmm.
So then when it delivered the results, had I followed it, I would have locked myself out of being able to do my own stuff.
Yeah, yeah.
Hmm.
Okay, great idea. Great idea. Thank you so much. Okay. So there's another guy that you need to follow. He's doing more. He's in no code, but he's also a lawyer.
Hmm.
He's going to be doing great stuff. He's doing consulting with this, the same thing. He's building his own thing because he's like the nuances of contracts and what happens. Okay, so let's just break this down. Depending on when you're having let's just be honest, with a lot of these different things, they're all app wrappers. They're sitting on top of Claude or OpenAI or whatever.
Right.
So they've already got a prompt to make it run a certain way. To whatever you're going to do and whatever input you're going to need, you can put in a prompt in the format of what you need to have. So that, like I showed in ChatGPT, or you could use Claude, you could say, create a prompt where I'm uploading a contract to a LLM, or I'm uploading it to a whatever environment.
Hmm.
These are the things that needs to be here. And you can say, like, I want this, like it has to be present.
Hmm.
Make sure that when you return it, you tell me where you put it in the contract. Like, you're telling the prompt to be that specific. And
Hmm.
then you can also tell it to be on rails. Like, you can tell it to not be creative, to not add things. Like, you can say, adhere to my instructions
Hmm.
at 100% or 98%. And so
Hmm.
now it understands more concepts of what you're doing than just uploading and saying, like, use this and create this. It's going to use OpenAI and all of these generic things that
Hmm.
it's going to fill in. It's not quite hallucinating, but it is returning errors because it's filling in the gaps.
Hmm.
And so the better your prompts, the decreasing amount that you're going to do. The surefire way, if you want to know, would be creating AI agents where it's checking itself. So you're having agents talk to each other. So there's something called like Flowwise. You're actually having different nodes, as you would.
Hmm.
Let me bring this up real quick. This is going a little bit too much in the weeds. First of all, I would just do prompting. That will probably solve 98% of your problems.
Hmm.
If I wanted to go deep and I'm doing something with healthcare, I need to run something locally or something like that, or I would use something like Flowwise where you're actually having different agents in a flow check with each other's departments. So it's like, I have a copywriter, I have a project manager, all of these things. Once it's done with the output of what you're looking for, instead of
Hmm.
it giving you the result and what you're seeing in this program, it's going to run it through another agent to check that other agent's work and to find errors.
Hmm.
So does that answer
And
your
by
question?
agent, is that like another LLM or that's like an actual person who's going to check it?
No, it's going to be another LLM. It's going to be
Okay.
another agent. So it's going to be another. I would. I there's tons of ways of like, oh, there's tons of debate, but basically imagine them like different personalities. You're loading up. So I gave the example of ChatGPT with different projects. Just imagine each project with its own personality. Now, this is just a few files, but imagine that I had 6 million text in it. That's going to make it a very distinct personality than the rest. And that's how it's going to go through. Yeah.
Okay.
So the
Doc,
simple answer, yeah, go ahead. Sorry,
I
Erica.
was going to say, Zakia and Thomas also had their hand up.
Oh, let's roll through it. Zakia, what's going on?
Hey Doc, great
Hey,
presentation as usual. So I'm going to go back to just the foundation of what you just said there about one LLM being a little bit better depending on the output that you're after. Is there a way to understand the strengths versus the weaknesses of each one of the LLMs so I'm choosing the right model before I get started with the project, or is it really trial and error for each use case?
that's a great question. It's really going to depend. It could be trial and error, but I would first, do you have an example of like one that you're trying to do? Like, is there, yeah, why are you using an LLM? What kind of work do you want? What kind of output do you want? What are you thinking about?
So there's two different use cases. I'll give the easiest one first. So one is for soap makers in particular, where it's a very rudimentary system where it's able to search for the ingredients that they use and recommend the best price, right?
Oh,
So out of all of these suppliers that we're
uh,
recommending, this is the one we want you to go
uh,
to because it's going to impact your cost of goods sold. But then at the same time, be able to run a recipe calculation based
okay.
on those ingredients.
Okay, so there's going to be pros and cons with ones I'm going to tell you. There are easier to use ones like using Perplexity that can do some kind of outreach to. Perplexity is just doing a better job with searching online, even though the capacity with ChatGPT is a little bit better or it's getting better. But if you're using something like Perplexity, you could pull the references or you the problem is the pulling what's out there and then the calculations. You're going to have two different things that are good at it. Calculations is going to be Claude. Perplexity, if your overview of like what's going on in the market and everything like that, for what you're looking for, to be completely honest, to make it as accurate as possible, it would probably be a mixture of either scraping websites if it's a targeted, like what's going on, if it's very specific ones, and then it's transforming the data and putting it into a database. So that's if I'm being really precise. I'm selling the information. It has to be on top of it, or if you're just going with a projection. So to answer your question, I would first test it with Perplexity, and then I would test it with ChatGPT. Those
Okay.
would be my two. If you're trying to sell your information for soap makers and it has to be on the T and correct every single time, you're going to need to do a little bit more custom and pull the data by scraping from websites and then comparing that data. And that would probably be a scraper like we showed, like Agent QL or Firecrawl. And then you would use something like Claude or something for the calculations.
Excellent. Thank you.
No worries, no worries. You might need some transformation with Make, but those two things will get you close. Great, great, great. Tom,
Make.com?
yeah, Make.com.
Okay. Mhm.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, Unmute myself here. You can hear me.
Yeah, yeah,
All right. Been a while, Doc, but
yeah.
your advice is always good. So we love you.
Thank you. I
You're a
love
good
being
man,
here.
Mr. Williams.
Thank you. Thank you.
I don't know if you remember, but I work with small water utilities, less than 3,000 connections. So I'm a pretty niche market, but we're working, a lot of these people are still stuck in, paper form mode. We're kind of getting them.
Yeah.
What I'm working on here is my project is taking people from, the paper forms into spreadsheets into then like databases and GIS based, databases
Yep.
for all their assets
Yep.
into full blown data driven decision making. So
Mm-hmm.
this is a process, but right now, and so we can talk about all aspects of that, but we're getting AI involved in putting, BMPs into,
Hmm.
like projects so that they can query their BMPs. And I'm actually working with a guy who actually takes all the equipment, he puts QR codes on it so people can bring up, videos of how to operate the equipment. So it's knowledge transfer. So we're kind of working together on some of these things. But right now, what I'm not fine. And my specific question is working with spreadsheets. I'm not finding anything that's really good, and wondering what kind of tools you have, because we're we have some spreadsheets that we look at specifically for asset management. That's a big
Yep.
thing for water utilities. We want to look at where what our assets are, where they are, how they age out. Then we look at things like criticality, so you take business risk exposure, which is
Yeah.
probability of failure times, consequences of failure, those types of
Yeah.
things. So we're building that out right now into a spreadsheet, and then eventually move them on to the next step in the process. But I'm not finding any AI tools that are decent for working with spreadsheets, and there things are evolving. The different models keep leapfrogging each other. It's tough to
Yeah.
keep up sometimes, but you are the man. So I'm asking you if you know any tools that are good in that regard, helping people automate their data analysis as far as getting it into spreadsheets.
Yeah, that's a great question. So there's not, the answer is no, not right now.
Yeah.
There are ones that are more
Yeah.
generic, and that's why when we're talking about data transformation and spreadsheets, still automation with using Make, and we're doing very specific high-powered things with like Airtable, it's still going to be very custom. There are very specific plugins that you can use depending if whatever you're planning to do or whatever types of spreadsheets. I know a lot of people they're using Excel or Sheets and they don't want to move sections. But if either two things, number one, Airtable does a lot of very good transformation of data. So I'd be looking at Airtable or Xano. Xano for bigger, larger amounts of data. Airtable, we still use it for 98% of all clients, even
Yeah.
enterprise clients is Airtable. And it's usually using AI assistant creating better proficient formulas and data transformation views inside of Airtable versus straight trying to find an AI tool where I'm copying or dropping my database in and I'm like, do X, Y, and Z. There's too much nuance right now, and people use their databases and they want so many specific things that you're gonna be frustrated with so many things that you're gonna try to do versus just doing some really intricate automation and transformation inside of the spreadsheet in that platform itself. It could change in a little bit. I know there's tons of startups with, hey, no, we're different. The reality is it's just not there on the market. I would love for someone to prove it. It's the same way as I cannot tell you how many times people keep talking about conversational AI. It's just not there yet. It's just not there yet. So that could change this environment, just like AI agents have like increased dramatically in the last 3 months. It could change by the spring. But right now, it's just not there. It's just not there.
All right, that confirms kind of what I had found, but
Yeah.
I just wanted to you look at so much of this stuff. I just really wanted to check with you on that and
Yeah.
go from there. So,
Love it. I
so
would probably if and then the thing is I could tell you, okay, use Claude, use Make, do all these things, but if it's something highly specific for your business, you're going to be getting so many errors anyway trying to fix these different things. It's better to dial in using these different things and then going from there. So, hopefully that helps, Tom. And message me anytime on LinkedIn. I'm super slow, but message me or hit me up on Twitter. I'm always around.
yeah, all right. Thank you.
Thank you.
Jason had raised his hand, but I think he lowered it. Jason, did you still have a question?
Yeah. I just didn't even want it to just be hanging up there for any, I figured y'all saw it. Okay, you talked about pickaxe And so I recently picked up pickaxe thanks to Zakia. She was like, radar for me. Thanks, Zakia. Um, and you talked about how you like pickaxe, and then you kind of showed it a little bit, and then you moved on to the other tool. What do you like best about pickaxe? Like, what can it do that the others can't do, or that the others do the same as? Like, why did you gravitate towards pickaxe?
Okay, so let's take a look real quick. Pickaxe has pros and cons.
Hmm.
So the pros is if I'm trying to create a full system and I want to sell what I'm doing and everything like that, it's going to allow me to do all that from start to finish. Now, there are a few different things that I'd like to bring up. Um, Depending on how you're planning to use it, 10% take rate of studio revenue, I don't like anyone taking 10% of any of my stuff.
Right.
So this is the pros and cons of like, what do you want to Frankenstein together and what do you want of ease of use? So if I want to create a suite of AI agents or excuse me, AI chatbots for my business, such as coaching or consulting, and I don't want to embed it into anything. I don't want to think about anything. I just want to come up with the concept and sell. Pickaxe excels at this because it's all in one. It's going to allow you to do the basic design, allow you to monetize, do all of those things, connect Stripe. It will do everything all with a percentage and a fee. For me, if I am trying to help someone to do this and they feel overwhelmed with AI and they're like, I have a target market, I already have people wanting to buy, I just need something, pickaxe. But if I'm going to want to maximize the amount of revenue I want more customization, I want to do a couple other things, then pickaxe might not be best for me. But if I'm an entrepreneur, I already have a target audience, people have already paid for a pre-sale, so I've already have validation, I'd be doing pickaxe all day because then I can leave pickaxe if I wanted to. If I'm worried about like, oh, they're killing me at 10% revenue, I've got all of these X, Y, and Z, there we go. But that is, yeah, all in product. I look at pickaxe. There's a European one too that I can look at that does something very similar. But yeah, does that make sense?
Yeah, it does. So basically the functionality is great as perfect, whatnot, as perfect can be. The 10% is the sticking point for you.
Yeah, I mean
Uh-huh.
that, and I don't really think the back end is all that good for if I want to do custom prompts, like, and that goes back into like how custom do I want it? If I'm a
Right.
wellness coach and I'm just plugging in my knowledge base, that's great. But if I'm doing advanced calculations, I need to test that on Pickaxe. I haven't seen the need for someone to do it, but
Mhm.
I also don't know what it's built on top of if it can handle a large computational load, if that
Mhm.
makes sense. So
Mhm.
for general entrepreneurship work, it will work 98 or 99% of the time. It's the 1% I'm like, depends. Depends if you want to work that way. Depends on all
Mhm.
those things. If I'm a coach and I need something and I need my MVP or I need my version one right now, I'd use Pickaxe. If I already have an audience and I have very specific things and I have all of these nuances, I would test out Pickaxe, but it might not be the end all, depending.
Mhm. Mhm.
Yeah, great question.
Got it.
I've got to run in 2 minutes, but I can do rapid fire.
Go ahead, Thomas. Unmute first.
The meta instructions for ChatGPT projects and Perplexity spaces, how important are they?
Say that again one more time, please.
The meta instructions where you can, yeah.
Yeah. So I would say it just depends on what you're trying to do. I would still say if you're working on your prompts and yourself, these are great practices for utilizing it at a very good level. But I'm probably going to Anthropic, how to prompt. I'm going to probably prompt engineering overview. I'd look at this is a document. I'd look at this to kind of understand what you do. If you go by these principles, it's better than all these other ones. Like because it's teaching you what the inputs should be. Yeah, great. And one last one, Zakia, what do we got?
Unmute, Zakia.
Dang it, couldn't find the unmute fast enough. Just your opinion on leveraging voice agents at all. Is there any, or are we too early, like what people were with the
Oh,
metaverse, or
yeah.
are we right there with it?
Great question. So voice agents, I use them. It's just a lot of them are over promising things and they're under delivering. So what are you using them for? If you're using them for confirmation of appointments, if you're understanding, number one, stop trying to trick it to say that it's real and it's not. Just be honest that it's an AI assistant. How can it help the business? We use it for a homeowners association of like triaging situations. So it's saying basically, are you having a complaint with the HOA? Here's the information. Tell us, and we'll email you back if there's something that needs, this kind of assistance. So it's like if it's 3 different case scenarios, it forwards it to a live agent. So that cuts down on all of the calls that they have to, vet out. You can do things like that. Long conversations, it's not for very low ticket items of you qualifying and them saying yes, no, it's there, but it's just not going to fool anyone. And the promises that I've seen on the market, it's just not there yet. So a lot of good voice models. It dropped in price by 90% this month, but still not there yet. But start experimenting if you want to use it in businesses, customer support, or for messages to give patients or clients. It's not there to handle large questions or anything like that.
Great. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, everybody. Well, thank you so much. Erica, you got anything before I got to run?
I just wanted to say, you said you were severely dyslexic, but I saw you reading code, like lots of code.
No, I can look at I kind of know what it is, but no, not there yet. Not there yet. But I appreciate it. Thank you, everyone, for being here. And if you need anything, remember, reach out to me on LinkedIn. The fastest one is on Twitter. And anything in YouTube, if I can help, hit me up. Thank you so
Thanks,
much.
Doc.
Thanks,
I see you.
Doc.
Appreciate you,
Pleasure
Doc.
as always.
Always
Bye.
great.
Thank you.
You guys got anything else to talk about what Doc went over, or any input?
I wish that I had gotten here a little earlier. I was finishing up a call, and so I'll check out the replay. But yeah, what I did come in on, it was really good. Hmm.
I'm glad you made it.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
think
it's
it was great.
interesting. Oh, go ahead, Zakia.
No, I think it was great. I think it's that next iteration and that all that we've been learning about prompting and all of that, it just kind of prepares you for that next step of
Hmm.
agents and having the agents talk to one another. And you can really tell his breadth of knowledge with it. So, really good session.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think, the agents are going to replace all their apps anyway, but they're just not quite there yet. But, it's every day. It seems like these different models keep leapfrogging each other. It's just tough to keep up sometimes with the advancements, and you got to stay on top of it, especially if you're acting as a consultant and advising your clients on, using these tools. Boy, it's a massive job just to keep up. And it's kind of exciting in a way is seeing what happens, and and we're just seeing like the voice agents and the spreadsheets. We're seeing some of that stuff isn't quite there, but I'll bet you when we talk about this at the beginning of next year that we'll have seen a lot of startling improvements just the way things are advancing right now. So I'd be willing to bet money on that. So
I never thought to ask for a prompt before I started the prompt. So I thought that was pretty spiffy right there.
that's very meta. That's about as meta as it gets, right? A
What
prompt to
did?
generate a prompt.
Okay. Prompt to generate. Okay, I was trying to figure out what Erica was saying. Okay, prompt to generate. Good stuff. Yeah, I
That
loved
Zakia
how
says,
it was testing itself. That was pretty awesome.
yeah. I kind of wonder if it was making mistakes, so you would have to give it 25 cents to check itself, because you run out of credits after so many.
All adds
Zakia, what
up.
were you saying about your agent will talk
Oh,
to
I
your
was just
agent?
I was just being facetious. Like in 6 months, my agent is going to talk to your agent to
They'll
schedule
do
a
lunch.
meeting. And then they're meeting with our chatbots talking to each other. So we never even get out of bed. So
Yeah.
there you go.
Yeah. Chatbots educating chatbots. And then Skynet became self-aware, and you know
Right.
what happens
Didn't
from
it
there.
already happen? That was like 2 months ago, Thomas.
Oh, okay. Doggone, I missed it. Where's the Terminator?
Okay. So I'm not sure if you guys saw that I put on in the Facebook group. I think y'all are a part of my Facebook group, but Meta asked me if I wanted to make a chat bot. So I did. Did you guys see it? And what did you think of it?
I don't think I've seen the Facebook group.
Yeah,
Okay.
I'd never even associate you with Facebook, so
Yeah,
I think I do remember that there is a Facebook group that you have that I'm in, but again, I never associate you with Facebook, so it's like a foreign concept to me.
Okay,
you
no
dropped the
worries.
you dropped the link.
Yeah, I just thought it was spiffy that they asked if I wanted to create one. So I also thought that they might have oops, I don't know why that happened. So I
I've
thought they might have asked you all to create a bot also. So
never used the the Facebook AI. I don't even remember what it's called.
Meta.
Meta. Okay.
Yeah.
Not on my list, you know. I mean, there's only so many things you can master. I I'm still trying to get back into learning Notebook LM.
Me too. I can get it to work on my phone. I wonder why I can't get it to work on my desktop. I think that's really weird. Zakia, can I ask for your help with that?
Maybe, but what I would say, have if you haven't tried it with Notebook LM, once it creates that podcast recording, you can interrupt that podcast recording and ask questions. So there's a beta mode that they have now where, like, let's say, okay, today we're unwrapping blah 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 blah. If they get something wrong, you can click a button within Notebook LM right under the podcast and infuse your thoughts. Like, no, that wasn't really what this was about. And they'll say, oh, whoa, wait a minute, we got it completely wrong. And you can download that as a whole podcast. So now you're inserting yourself in that AI conversation and directing it or having it approach situations differently.
You
For
can
the
be the host for AI agents talking back and forth.
about you, yeah, about what you
Yeah.
just provided it for sure.
Okay.
But for the phone, it is not 100% ready for the phone. Some of the features they just have not enabled on the phone, Erica. It's primarily meant for the laptop until they've made it all available. So that may be why you're experiencing that.
Look, I can only get it to work on my phone. It's not doing anything on my desktop. It's very frustrating.
What? Maybe
Yes.
try, are you using Chrome?
Uh, no.
Try
Wait,
it in a
wait.
Chrome
Yes,
browser.
I am. I
Okay.
am using Chrome, but the browser is Yahoo. Does that matter if the browser is Yahoo?
Uh, I'm not sure.
Okay.
Well, if you are using Chrome, Yahoo might just be the search bar. I don't know if
Yeah.
Yahoo doesn't have a browser, right?
Well, I think maybe it's the search bar, like you said.
Okay, so that's fine. Make sure you update your Chrome browser. There probably is an update that you need to do, which is causing you not to be able to use the tool.
Okay. I guess that makes sense because my phone is Chrome.
You have an Android. Who
Yep.
are you? Where have we met? How are we friends? I'm just joking.
My phone works, so I like it. Okay. Um, so next week we're not gonna have any of the other events that I had planned for us to do as a group. But we can still talk about AI agents, large language models if you want. So just let me know. And on the 29th, we should have, I'm sorry, not the 29th, the 28th, which is a Tuesday night at 6 p.m., 3 p.m. for Jason. Uh, El Kersey will do her introductory interview. And her talk will be about community. So we got just a few more minutes left. Does anybody have anything they want to bring up?
Maybe next week, maybe next week we can talk about, different, how we're using, our personal experience using AI in different ways and which models are most effective, compare some of those notes. And, because I think Zakia brought it up, which model is best for, or was it Jason? Which model is best
Um,
for what?
yeah, I think Zakia asked that question.
Yeah.
I asked him specifically why he was saying pickaxe for what and
Yeah.
whatnot. But yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Hmm. Yeah, I am playing with AI with sales copy. I'm trying to get my learning curve on with that. I still don't like what it does in comparison to what I do, so I have to master that because I do want to be able to iterate faster. But so far, what I've seen it spit out is like, I wouldn't say it like that.
See, I think that is where using ChatGPT projects or perplexity spaces where you're
Hmm.
adding those meta instructions in, you can
Hmm.
fine tune it to, be more your voice. And then both those allow you to add up to 50 documents each. So
Hmm.
you can take and build your own little database.
Hmm.
And I know in Perplexity specifically, you can say, just pull from this library or
Hmm.
this library in the web or just the web, but the meta instructions, and I think those are important if you want it more in your voice instead of the generic
Yeah.
um, AI that kind of gets, I call exuberant. It just seems to write like clickbait headlines all the
Yeah,
time.
it's
And
crazy.
you can kind of fine tune that a little bit with those meta instructions, and I think that is the key. I'm still experimenting with it, but it seems to give better outputs that is more in my voice
Hmm.
if I pay attention to using those meta instructions. And once they're in there too, you can go in and tweak them as well, and that won't change past outputs, but it'll kind of fine tune it for the future too. So getting
Yeah.
that really helps you fine tune it, I think, is
I think
is
that's where I
my
missed it.
opinion.
I did not put in the meta instructions in this last go round because I was rushing through it. Because
Yeah,
I was pushing it out like, okay, look, done is better than perfect because I'm going live at 9 today. And this is
yeah.
for my workshop, the Mastering Your Media.
Oh
Um,
yeah,
mhm. And
yeah.
so I was like, hmm. And I was talking to one of my friends and coaches, and she's like, yeah, just push it out there, Jason. Don't quit messing around with it. Just push it out there. It's like, okay, she just fix it later. I was like, yeah, you're right. Yeah. So I'm doing that today at 9. I'm gonna sell it and then be done. I'll tweak it over time because this is gonna
Yeah.
be something for the long haul. So
Yeah.
mhm,
And with all the advancements, I think that's exactly right.
mhm,
Is just you got to build it, take advantage of what's out there now, and as
mhm.
new capabilities come out, tweak it or fine tune your voice, and it's just,
Right.
they're improving the model all the time. So
Yeah.
yeah,
So I'm gonna
what do
have
they
to lean
say?
on
Good, perfect is the enemy of good.
good, yeah, yeah. I'm gonna have
I
to
think
just
that's a
lean on the conversation that I have leading up to it, and that way when they go to the sales page, they just go straight to the button to buy instead of reading through the copy.
yeah.
Hmm.
I think those long sales pages are dead anyway. Nobody reads them.
Now,
I
if the
just scroll to the
conversation ahead
bottom.
of time is good enough, yeah,
Yeah, exactly.
yep.
You know.
Mhm. If the conversation isn't, then that's when I start reading and saying, or if it's like a cold email, but the headline
Yeah,
catches my attention, then I'll go
yeah,
on. Yeah.
yeah. But I mean, these things that are like 25 pages long, and
Right.
people spend all this time writing them and putting in pictures and I just scroll to the bottom and tell me what's the TLDR,
Right. Right. Exactly.
Sean Connell asked, what was the best freebie you ever gotten? And somebody wrote, freebies remind me of lead magnets, so I don't care for them. But I replied, the best lead magnet I went through, or the funnel I went through, was a quiz from Daniel Priestley asking about influence and entrepreneurship.
Hmm.
So you get the video 2 minutes. You take the quiz. I think the quiz was maybe about 25 questions, and it sends you an email with a 30-page PDF. I
Hmm.
did not want to read that. So I gave it to 11 Labs. It read it to me. I liked it after it was read to me. I didn't want to read it. And then they offered um, a book, Key Person of Influence. I already got it,
Hmm.
so I didn't take it. But I thought that was the best funnel and freebie that I've gotten.
Hmm.
But thanks to another tool that
So,
helped me get
question:
through it.
Did you go through it initially because it was Dan Priestley, or was it like total stranger? Like it could have been John Doe out there, and you would have gone through it.
I'm not sure. The second time really helped. I mean, this was my second time going through it. I've seen
Mm,
Daniel Priestley before. I think that's why I took it. But again, I didn't have 11 labs to help me with it.
right.
I think 11 Labs really helped sell what they were doing because
Hmm.
after I got the report read to me, I signed
Hmm.
up for their free webinar.
Hmm. This is a rogue question here. It's a side note, but it is the 11 Labs comment triggered this, so it's kind of your fault, Erica. Um, the okay, so this is with the iterations and your voice and your image inside of AI. Uh, what are your thoughts on that? And this is just out to the group here. My thought is I would love to put a stock person in there and then a stock voice as opposed to my own, and then just name the AI Billy Bob or something like that. But then Billy Bob will go out and do the talking. They don't expect it to be me. They just expect to get the information. I have a nuanced take on it because I remember when we were doing stuff like this in the studio years ago, and I am cautious about doing the whole AI with the deep fake and whatnot because I remember what we were able to do almost, well, it was actually a little over 30 years ago. And I'm like, so now they can do far more. And folks don't realize just exactly how advanced it was back then, let alone what they are privy to now. So, anyway, thoughts on that?
So I had Play HT from AppSumo a good while ago, and I never used
Hmm.
it for that. When I got 11 Labs on my phone, I don't use it for that either.
Hmm.
It let me pick a voice, and it named itself David,
Hmm.
and it just reached to me. So I don't use it for that yet. So I can't
Hmm.
really be helpful.
Hmm.
Sorry.
No, no worries.
So I just put in the chat on LinkedIn. I was messing around with Sound Made Scene,
Hmm.
and it will allow you to clone your voice. And the reason I did it was I wanted to translate my content to Spanish.
Hmm.
Interesting thing is, the Spanish voice sounded more like my voice than the English voice.
Hmm.
And I do like what you're saying about having almost like an AI avatar where
Right.
we know that it's an AI voice, a voice that you've chosen, it's not your own.
Hmm.
My only hesitation with that is I feel like my voice has already been cloned. I'm on
Right.
podcasts, I'm on live streams. All of these tools have AI in some way, shape, or form.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know. I feel like the voice is going to be the scariest part of it all.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
And I go back and forth with it because I see the value on one side,
Mm-hmm.
but I also see the negative impact that I'm not even aware of today that can
Right.
come from doing it that way. But it's really impressive. But that was the link I shared so you can listen to that cloned voice that it created and listen more to the Spanish voice than
Mm-hmm.
the English voice.
Okay.
And you'll hear more of Zakia in that one.
Okay.
Interesting.
Yeah.
I saw that one. I like that one too.
Yeah. And my thinking on that is that, yeah, it's kind of like when I was working at the phone company, they're like, hey, we need you to sign this. And so I was like, well, I'm not signing that because, we didn't really have to sign the paperwork. And they said, well, we can always go to your file and pull up the information. I said, well, that's the choice that you make, but I'm not going to voluntarily sign this document. So I didn't overtly or covertly give them permission to go into my file. And so I don't know if they actually could go into the file or not, or if that was a bluff. But I kind of think, on one hand, that so long as you don't give permission, there's certain legal things that they can't do. And even though they may still do them, but it's not with consent. So I hear you. I'm wondering if there's a way that I can take an AI voice and then upload the AI voice for AI to clone, which is kind of wild when you think about it. I wonder if AI would
PhD
say
does
that's an
that.
AI voice. It does, all right? Is that right?
Yeah, PhD does that. You can clone your own voice.
Well, yeah, I don't want to clone my voice. I want to clone a voice that's not mine. Like if
Oh,
I got AI to clone, then I would, do that. So that's my thought is that if I were to pull an AI voice from like listener and then give it a script, have it read the script, take that file and then upload it to like an 11 Labs or a voice cloner and say, okay, so clone this voice and then give it an image of an AI character and say, okay, now clone this character into AI and then use the voice and the character as the AI, as the avatar.
I would say do that now.
Mm-hmm.
More and more, what they're doing is they're requiring almost a voice signature. So after you upload it, it
Mm-hmm.
makes you record like I confirm that this is my voice in the same voice. So I'm
Mm-hmm.
seeing that pop up on more and more of the tools, but
Mm-hmm.
many of them don't have that like a PIN number for
Mm-hmm.
you to be able to clone the voice that you just uploaded. But I think if you do that in the next 2 to 3 months, you
Mm-hmm.
should be good to go.
Okay. Nice.
Interesting.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because I have one site where they did open up the capability to me to do an AI. They'd give me a script or what have you. I upload it. They take different angles. I'm like, I can't do this. I just thought that that's too much access.
well, you
Hmm.
do have a nice voice, Jason, and all the blog posts you've written, all the ebooks you have written. It would be nice to hear those things in your voice.
And I don't mind reading it in my voice. I just don't want AI to do it because then it's like at the point that it sounds so much like me that people can't perceive that it's not me. That's a problem for me. Because then
Yeah.
I'm like,
I don't
well,
have much
yeah,
interest in that either. I
yeah,
just
yeah.
doesn't appeal to me. Clone
Mm-mm.
yourself, your own. Why would I want to? I don't mind going on camera and I don't mind talking and teaching a
Right.
class and stuff. Why would I want to clone I mean, I guess if you're camera shy, but why would I, unless you want to put yourself in an action movie or something like that. But,
Right. Yeah.
but for the most part, for what I
Jump to
do,
this next building. Yeah. Exactly.
Spoiler.
I'm,
I was
yeah,
just
it seems
thinking,
pointless to me, but yeah.
spoiler alert, Jason and Tom sent their AIs to attend this meeting on their behalf. Neither of
Yeah.
Right.
them are actually here.
Exactly.
Hilarious. Oh, I have to go, but if you guys want to keep going, I can make one of you the host.
That's
Nope.
fine.
Yeah,
I'm
I
good.
gotta get to this thing. If I say in here, then it's gonna give me an excuse not to go through with finishing this thing up, and I gotta finish it up and do my
Yeah.
live and make my sales.
All right. I
All right.
appreciate y'all being
Okay.
here.
All right,
Good
so
start to 2025. God bless
Thanks,
yes,
everybody
Erica.
and
God bless you too.
have a good weekend and we'll see you next week.
All
Bye
right,
bye.
Tom.
All
See
right.
y'all
Bye
later.
now.